A breakaway league or a breakaway sport, a rebel league of sorts being formed within a particular sport is a tale that isn't exactly new. And sometimes it can actually be pretty beneficial for the sport. Cricket fans of a certain age would doubtless remember Kerry Packer's World Series, and the influences of course, that rebel league are still being felt in modern cricket as we speak. However, what is happening in the world of golf is anything but a Kerry Packer moment, and more just a case of sports washing flexing its muscle in world of sport yet again. Hello everyone and welcome back to Sports Today. My name is Shane Dias and today we are going to be looking at the LIV Golf Tour and why exactly it poses such a threat to the PGA Tour and why that's not actually a good thing in more ways than one. But before we decode why exactly this PGA Tour, which is this LIV Golf Tour, which is of course a rebel tour to the original existing PGA Tour that has been going on for time immemorial at this point, let's actually look at what exactly is LIV Golf, how it came about, and why then we'll analyze why exactly it is a problem. Now, the first thing is that we have to look at is the origin story. And again, as I said, breakaway leagues or breakaway, something similar, nothing very new at this point. In fact, even the current PGA Tour started off as a breakaway from another tour and in its current form has been around for a long time. But as recently as 2019, there was talk of a new breakaway tour coming in place from, of course, with certain golfers breaking away from the PGA Tour and then going to form a new league. Now, it was initially called the Premier Golf League, and it was meant to have backing, monetary backing from the Saudi Arabian kingdom. Now, that in itself was fairly problematic, but in the end, the Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or PIF, which is, by the way, a term you're going to come across a lot in this video. So the Public Investment Fund, or PIF, eventually chose not to back the Premier Golf League, but chose to back an entire new entity that would be known as LIV Golf. That's how it originally started out. And well, from there, you have to look at how it is that this league is different from, of course, the existing PGA Tour, because rebel leagues normally have some sort of an purpose for existence. Now, entirely the first thing that we have to look at is that this league gets all of its funding from the PIF, which is of course the financial arm of the Saudi Arabian kingdom. So whatever money it is that the kingdom spends, whatever money it is that is spent by the kingdom or by government officials, whatever it may be, is all sanctioned or is all there in the PIF. So that is the source of money for LIV Golf, and that in itself is the biggest problem. So why exactly that's the case, we're going to come to in a bit, but there are also some differences in the format. So one of the major things is that this particular format, the LIV Golf Tour, will have shorter rounds. Normally traditional golf tours will have 4-round matches. Here you'll only see 3 rounds take place. And what's more is that traditional golf is generally speaking very much an individual sport, with certain notable exceptions, of course the Ryder Cup being one of them. But in this tour you will have plenty of team events happening as well. And perhaps the most important reason how this differs from, of course, the PGA Tour is this. It's the fact that the prize money which is on offer in the LIV Golf series is significantly higher. Not just that, because of the fact that the prize money is evenly, or at least fairly evenly distributed amongst everyone who participates. You could essentially, or in theory, be a player who even just makes it to the tournament backed by the LIV Golf Tour. You might even finish last, but you will still get a share from the money pool. Whereas on the PGA Tour, if you don't make it to the tournament to begin with, if you don't make it towards the final rounds, you aren't getting a cut of the prize money. Here, you can just participate and you're getting a guaranteed amount from, of course, the prize pool. That is, of course, only the smaller, finer details, but perhaps the biggest issue when it comes to this is, and we'll get to that in just a bit, but naturally, the lure of a new league, one that was promising more money and potentially an easier schedule than the PGA Tour has right now, meant that quite a few players, quite a few big name players, by the way, ended up signing contracts with LIV Golf. Now, some of the bigger names I've listed here, there is of course Phil Mickelson, there's Dustin Johnson and Sergio Garcia, all of whom, by the way, are winners of the majors, and they have also been ranked as the #1 golfer in the world at some point or the other. In the world of golf, these are legendary big names. Beyond that, you've also had the likes of Lee Westwood, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, Cameron Smith, Anirban Lahiri, and even Henrik Stenson have all agreed to be a part of the LIV Golf Tour. Why exactly this is the case? Well, it's quite frankly all about the money. There's no real sugarcoating here. The main reason why anyone would agree to be part of this league is because they're getting paid substantial sums of money. Because again, you look at these names, it's a who of golfing all-time, of golfing greats, if not all-time greats, but not just golfing greats, some of the best golf players in the world right now have signed up for this tour, and the main reason for it is of course money. Henrik Stenson, is worth noting, is Team Europe's captain in the Ryder Cup, and in fact before he was announced for the LIV Golf Tour, it was announced that he was in fact relinquishing that role. He then signed for LIV Golf. Phil Mickelson, again, very well-known name in the world of golf. Beyond that, also Koepka, Smith, Anirban Lahiri, you know, is a golf player from India. There's a lot of big names here, and all of them have signed up because they've been guaranteed insane amounts of money. So one of the things that is also worth noting is that the league had made an offer Tiger Woods to join the LIV Golf Tour, and the monetary offer was believed to be in the region of $700 to $800 million. Now, to put things in context, Tiger Woods' entire earnings from the PGA Tour up until this point is $121 million approximately. It's not taking into account what he's earned from sponsorships and the likes, but his prize money on the tour is around the $121 million mark. Now, if he had joined the LIV Golf Tour, he would have been paid up to $700 to $800 million straight up, just like that. So obviously you can see that the amount of money that's being offered has tempted a lot of these players. They've resigned from the PGA Tour, they've joined this Rebel Tour. In fact, not only have they been resigned, they've also been banned, because that's the stance that the PGA Tour is taking. They're saying that if anyone is joining a Rebel league of this sort, they're going to be banned, plain and simple. Now, why exactly is this so problematic? Well, there are many major reasons, and we're going to come to those in some detail, but one of the main reasons is that it goes against the very way the sport is conceptualized. Now, the sport has always been about the PGA Tour having that, control of all the majors, and then therefore overseeing and governing the happening of these events, and of course the prestige that is involved in these events is also very important, because after all, no one wants to compete for plastic trophies. You want to compete for, or you want to win tournaments that actually mean something, and each and every one of the tournaments that mean something are part of the PGA Tour. So the LIV Golf is in many ways just a Rebel Tour that is splashed by a lot of money, but very little in terms of history, in terms of legacy, in terms of tradition, non-existent. The other major thing, as I said, is that of course all of the major tournaments come under the PGA. So LIV Golf, whatever tournaments they have to do, they're starting them all from scratch. There is no major prestige involved in any of these tournaments, but there is a lot of money. And perhaps the biggest thing that is so problematic about LIV Golf is that it's in many ways the biggest example and the latest example of Saudi Arabian sports washing. Now, you doubtless be asking, what is sports washing? Sports washing is essentially using sport as a form of soft power to kind of cleanse your image in and around the world. Now, we know for a fact that Saudi Arabia it doesn't exactly have the best of images around the world. There's been a poor, record in terms of LGBTQIA plus rights, in terms of human rights in general. You'd remember that Washington Post, Wall Street Journal journalist Jamal Khashoggi was, assassinated in the nation, and apparently it was done because he was reporting on things against the Saudi Arabian kingdom. So there's not exactly a great record that exists in terms of their human rights record, but they in recent times have been doing a lot of efforts to attract sporting events taking place in the kingdom in a bid to actually improve their image around the world. And if I say that's the latest example, I say it with good reason, because There's a lot of things that the Saudis have struck. There are a lot of institutions, sporting institutions, entertainment institutions that the Saudi Arabian kingdom has struck deals with to actually further let's say have events take place. So some of the major examples are listed here. They signed a 10-year deal with the pro wrestling company WWE, or World Wrestling Entertainment. That 10-year deal involves WWE putting on 2 to 3 shows per year which happen in the kingdom, and of all of those, apparently they paid a handsome amount of money up front. So the money that you get from working those shows is a lot. Sounds familiar? Well, it's not the only one there, of course. They have also gone in, aside from WWE, they've wanted to host combat sport events in general. So the mixed martial arts promotion, Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC for short, have hosted a pay-per-view over there. You've had boxing matches take place. In fact, Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua had a boxing match over there. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury's long-awaited boxing match was also supposed to take place in the kingdom. So not a new phenomenon there. Not just that, they've reached out to other sports beyond just, of course, combat sports. The Italian Supercoppa, which is a tournament that is played between the winner of the Italian Serie A and the Coppa Italia as a season opener, they've had editions take place recently in Saudi Arabia. The Spanish Supercoppa, which is of course played between the winners of La Liga and the Copa del Rey, these matches, that one-off match, has also taken place in Saudi Arabia recently. A Formula 1 race, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, 2 editions of that have taken place. You had one towards the end of the 2021 season and the beginning of the 2022 season. They've also signed a deal with MotoGP to have a Saudi Arabian MotoGP race take place as well. And perhaps their biggest move before, of course, sponsoring LIV Golf was the fact that the PIF invested heavily and purchased off the majority stakes of Newcastle United, the Premier League club who have been something of a sleeping giant. In recent times they became more known for battling relegation than for winning trophies, but they have a big stadium, a traditional fan base, and they were recently purchased off by the PIF, and in recent times they've been spending big money in the Premier League. In fact, if you look at the teams who have spent the most money this year, Newcastle would be up and abouts with the teams that have spent the most. So that money is not Newcastle's money as such, it's money that comes from the PIF, and that is really what makes it so dangerous. Now, again, generally speaking, a tournament like LIV Golf could have benefits. It could actually, shake up the establishment a little bit. It could actually bring about new innovative things to the sport. It could actually increase the monetary compensation that you'd see athletes get. But in this case, all of that is totally nullified by the fact that LIV Golf is perhaps the biggest example of sports washing that has been undertaken by the nation, and that in itself is what makes it such a problematic thing. Not just the fact that it is an existential threat to the sport of golf, but also the fact that it's only being done to cleanse the image of the nation. Now, what are your opinions on these things? Do you think that rebel leagues like this should be allowed to exist? And what is your take on sports washing? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon so you know when it is we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Then you can go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And last but not the least, download the SPORTSWASHING app for breaking news updates from the world of sports. Thank you all once again for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this, but do join us through the day, and for now, bye-bye.